What is the illness all these men in Hollywood are being struck down with? It's tearing through the town like a plague of lawsuits, cutting down power players in the prime of their Amazon Prime contracts, yet apparently it dare not even speak its name. What is its name? Whatever it is, I see poor old Kevin Spacey's got it now. I hope it doesn't count as detailed medical intrusion to merely repeat the outgoing Netflix star's publicist statement, which was released on Wednesday night and ran Kevin Spacey is taking the time necessary to seek evaluation and treatment. No other information is available at this time. Well, you say that. But please, can we get a name here for what is he being treated, or is the condition maybe so new it doesn't yet have a name, like when people used to write off porphyria or gluten intolerances, only to later discover they were proper and historically important illnesses. By way of a recap, Spacey was alleged by Star Trek Discovery actor Anthony Rapp to have made sexual advances on him when he was 14 years old, and it was that which seems to have brought down what I suppose you'd call Kevin's whole playing card edifice. You might have seen these things. You balance the deck 1v1 in sort of triangles on top of each other. Normally they're quite easy to knock down, but Kevin's playing card edifice seemed so indestructible that for many years it was assumed to have 100 meters concrete pile foundations and be supported by steel RSJs. No longer. As one actor this week claimed of Spacey's 11-year tenure as artistic director of the Old Vic Theatre, it seems that it only took a male under 30 to make Mr. Spacey feel free to touch us, adding that many young men have a Kevin Spacey story. Well, he is in treatment for all that now. Perhaps in time, Kevin's actions in these Kevin Spacey stories will be revealed to be symptoms just as reflexive, ungovernable and deserving of our sympathy as George III screaming what in the presence of the Spanish ambassador or whoever. Perhaps in time, we will understand that allegedly harassing minors, employees dependent on you or people vastly less powerful is actually a form of paroxysmal attack. How much time? About 3 weeks, Kevin hopes. Until then, we ordinary civilians are advised to continue wearing our hazmat suits to read the ongoing tide of allegations claiming more unwell industry figures by the day. Indeed, the scale of this outbreak forces an urgent reordering of Hollywood's most significant virus-related work. In ascending order, that now reads 5. The Andromeda Strain 4. 28 Days Later 3. Children of Men 2. 12 Monkeys 1. The thing that lots of powerful men may be caught off Harvey Weinstein. Except, of course, and despite the town's desperate efforts to quarantine Mr. Weinstein, it didn't start with him. He may be the man thus far most hideously stricken in the current outbreak, but Harvey is not patient zero. According to multiple accounts, men as far back as and undoubtedly further than Hollywood's golden age were afflicted with the condition. Louis B. Mayer, to pluck one legendary name from the air. Poor, vulnerable Louis B. If only female MGM stars, would-be stars and other employees had known back then it was an illness. I mean, they'd still have had to submit to horrors without hope of any redress, but they could have done so understanding that they were fulfilling their natural role as life's caregivers and healers. It's a form of nursing, really. As for the sickness, it's far-fetched to believe it has mutated significantly since then, much less lain dormant for any period of time. Still, let's at least codify the only thing we do know about the disease, which has now infected both Weinstein and Spacey and looks likely to clinicalize more as the days, weeks and months go on. It's traditional in the case of less aspirational maladies, such as cancer, to say that they are no respecter of income. This line is forever finding its way into discussion of cancer, presumably for the benefit of people who might otherwise imagine the 1% are able to pay individual cells not to metastasize. But in the case of this disease we're talking about that we don't yet know the name of, or Weinsteinitis, the old platitude requires adaptation. The illness is no respecter of income below the $10 a year mark. If you can't afford the $14,000 a week to be treated for it in some 6-star Utah head spa, you are not even going to contract the illness. The comparatively poor, i.e. pretty much everyone else, are basically immune from diagnosis. They may end up in jail or on the sex offenders register. But at least they've got their health. And yet, because this column is above all a scientific resource, I suppose we have to be even-handed and consider outlying pathological evidence and analysis that doesn't fit the accepted findings so far. So here goes. I can scarcely believe I'm being so backward as to suggest it, but is it possible we are not dealing with things that require treatment at all here on the off chance this highly regressive diagnosis isn't edited out of this article on taste or pre-enlightenment grounds? Isn't this all just a ridiculous and profoundly offensive category mistake not to dispute the idea that compulsive behavior exists? These Hollywood acts of allegedly criminal behavior may indeed be a compulsion, but I'm afraid the allegedly criminal bit trumps the compulsion bit every time. Unless, of course, famous sufferers have designs on a treatment program at Arkham Asylum, or one of the less fictional secure hospitals. If that's the case, they are urged to examine the syllabus a little more closely before deciding it's the course they definitely wish to take.